soil that they have on Palmetto Road, on the top, is that?
Oh, Marsh Folly?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna mention that when Tom said about that. So that's definitely a good resource to start off with. If you're just starting a garden, or if you're looking for some compost to build up. It has its challenges because it's not completely broken down. You know, they're dealing with massive amounts of horticulture waste, and it's got everything else mixed in it. So it's not ideal, but it's something that you can start the process with. So we use it in our garden as well sometimes. I go there with my big buckets and I sift it right there, so I'm not taking the trash home with me. So yeah, you could sift it and use it in the garden. It's not ideal compost for growing plants, but it's good to get it started. And even the stuff that you're sifting out of it, you can add to your compost because it's already inoculated with lots of bacteria and fungi that will help again with the compost. But just watch out for the little bits of plastic. You don't want that in there. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing this with us today. I'm feeling very inspired to go and start my garden. So I would love to hear your thoughts on whether or why small-scale biointensive personal farming would be a more viable or better solution for Bermuda's overall food security challenge than potentially using a commercialized, large-scale, more tech-oriented eco-farm with technology like aeroponics and vertical farming.
Thank you. Good question. Well, let's see, we talked about these other methods like vertical farming. They're really good methods, but if we're looking at the inputs involved to grow the food that we're growing in those vertical farms, we need a greenhouse ideally. I don't know if there's too much vertical farming going on outside. You're gonna need a structure, you're gonna need energy to support all these systems that are pumping around what needs to get pumped around, in comparison to small-scale biological agriculture, which is focusing on the soil. The soil's already there. We need to uplift the soil and grow the soil, and with that we get healthy plants. Tech-orientated. Anytime I think about the tech, I think about the electricity needed to run that tech. Even if you go and get solar panels, I mean, you're not going to be having 100% efficiency there. Also with these vertical farming systems, they're growing lettuce, tomatoes, lots and lots of veggies, but they're not growing grain crops, they're not growing root crops, which are essential for our everyday calorie intake. You know, they don't address the calorie crisis maybe that we have. That'll be my answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Do we have enough land in Bermuda available to biointensively grow food for our population?
Thank you.
Sorry.
There you go. Very good question. Everybody was thinking
I
about
think
that.
so.
Yes, thank you.
I think
Thank you, Tom. Thank
Yeah.
you, Tom. So I get this question a lot. So I usually say, you know, we are so fortunate to even to be able to pose that question and to say, is there enough land to grow food, where over 800 million people on the planet do not have access to live healthy, active lives. They don't have a choice. They have to go out and farm and grow some food for themselves in order to eat. We're lucky enough to have this opportunity to begin this process before things maybe get worse. I don't want to be apocalyptic or anything, but you know, there's we look at the food that we import has continually has lower nutritional value. You know, there's not a good thing. It's becoming more scarce. It's becoming more expensive. So with the Grow Biointensive, if you read any of the literature, they encourage you to use 40 beds to start off with to grow your complete diet. That's 4,000 square feet of growing area. That's going to be 5,000 square feet once you incorporate pathways, compost pile, a mini greenhouse. But again, we're not going to go and start digging 40 beds right now. That's going to have to be something that happens over a few years. What you need to do, again, start with one bed and grow that bed properly. Once you build on that confidence, you can move up and you're adding more beds. We were growing food in 6 growing beds in Spanish Point, and I can tell you in the spring, when we were harvesting a lot, it was a significant amount of food that we were getting from there just after 3 years. Also in Grow Biointensive, their aim is really, you know, the magic of how to grow a lot of food in a small space. So There is one good friend of mine, Matthew Juno, who's writing a paper right now about growing your complete diet in 1,000 square feet. So even if we use that mathematics and look at the amount of available arable land in Bermuda, because I've done the math and there's a significant amount of people we can feed using 1,000 square feet. This 1,000 square feet is in a temperate climate where certain times of the year you can't grow food. We're in Bermuda where we can grow food all year round. So that number could be 600 square feet. You know, it's very, very possible for us to. I think the 80% I talked about before, we now import over 80%. It's very possible for us if we all start to engage using grow biointensive, other sustainable farming methods, we can be growing a significant amount of food in Bermuda sustainably without damaging already depleted soils. Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm a big supporter of all this stuff, and I have been trying to grow vegetables in a plot about this big for, I don't know, I mean, it's at the point now where it's like, what's the definition of insanity, doing the same